Long before the day of fire and blood, when Deathworlders rose against the stars, the galaxy had already been warned. The warning came not from prophets, not from mystics, but from those who had seen humanity up close. Generations ago, few alien explorers had visited Earth. They returned with stories unlike any others. They spoke of a world where storms could strip mountains bare, where predators hunted with cunning intelligence, and where fragile-looking bipeds called humans lived not just in survival but in defiance. They described how humans bled, suffered, starved, and yet somehow always stood again. The reports were placed in archives, buried under layers of bureaucracy. Deathworld, they called it. A cursed planet too hostile for civilized species. Its people were considered weak by appearance, but dangerous by nature. The scholars wrote, "Do not provoke them. Do not test their patience. For if their kindness ends, war will follow." But time passed. Empires rose, governments changed, and the warning became nothing more than a forgotten footnote in dusty records. To most alien leaders, humans were a curiosity, nothing more. Fragile, breakable, easily dismissed. The galaxy laughed at the very idea that such creatures could pose a threat, until the day came. It began with whispers. Traders on the Outer Rim spoke of human colonies building weapons, training armies, and moving with a quiet determination. Minor skirmishes broke out, small border disputes, nothing unusual. Yet those who faced humans noticed something terrifying. Unlike other species, humans did not fear death in the same way. They adapted. They endured pain with clenched jaws and burning eyes. Even in defeat, they seemed to learn to grow sharper, more dangerous. The alien councils ignored these warnings. They told themselves it was nothing, just another noisy young species trying to find its place in the galaxy. But then came the silence. Entire patrols vanished. Outposts went dark. Ships sent to investigate never returned. And among the survivors who managed to crawl back, their voices trembled when they spoke. The Deathworlders have decided. They are done being nice. Across the galaxy, old historians shivered as they recognized the words buried in forgotten archives. The warning, the prophecy, the truth. The same words written centuries ago now echoed in the mouths of the terrified. If their kindness ends, war will follow. The council chambers grew cold with dread, but it was already too late. Humanity was no longer asking for respect. Humanity was no longer waiting to be acknowledged. The Deathworlders were moving, and every species would soon remember the warning they had chosen to forget. And as the stars burned on that first night, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. Cliffhanger end, in the void of space. A single human warship appeared on the scanners of an alien fleet. Silent, motionless, waiting. Asterisk. The alien fleet had been waiting for hours, watching the lone human warship drift in the void. It looked small compared to their armada, its hull scarred, its engines barely glowing. The alien commander, Admiral Voroth, almost laughed. So this is what the Deathworlders send against us? A single crippled vessel? But inside his laughter, there was unease. For reasons he could not explain, the silence of that human ship felt heavier than the weight of 1,000 cannons. At last, Voroth gave the order. Advance. Surround them. Leave no trace. Dozens of alien cruisers shifted into formation. Cannons hummed. Shields glowed. And yet the human ship did not move. It drifted, silent, like a corpse. The first shot was fired, a beam of light that ripped through the darkness and slammed into the human hull. The fleet waited for an explosion. None came. Instead, the human vessel absorbed the hit, plating shattering away, atmosphere venting. But then, its engines came alive. The once silent ship roared with a sudden fury, its thrusters igniting like a dying star. The entire alien fleet froze as a single chilling broadcast cut through every channel. A human voice, calm, steady, unbroken. We gave you kindness. You spat on it now. We take it back. The next moments were chaos. From the small, battered vessel erupted a swarm of drone-stiny machines darting like angry insects. Weaving through shields, tearing into weak points, alien ships screamed as hulls burst and decks burned. Admiral Vorath barked orders, but his own ship shuddered under impact. On his screen he saw his fleet collapsing one vessel at a time, consumed not by numbers, but by precision. Every strike from the humans was deliberate, merciless, surgical. And then it happened. The human ship rammed into one of the alien dreadnoughts. Metal screamed. Fire swallowed the void. When the light faded, the human vessel was gone. The galaxy expected humanity to retreat after their first strike. Surely, no fragile species could endure the wrath of countless empires. But humanity did not retreat. Humanity advanced. On the colony world of Erithos, smoke still rose from ruined cities. Alien banners had once hung above human homes, symbols of conquest and humiliation. Those banners now burned in the streets. Trampled beneath the boots of survivors, Captain Elias Ward stood among the rubble, his uniform torn, his face streaked with blood and ash. Around him were men and women who should have been broken soldiers without supplies, civilians without homes, children without hope. Yet none of them looked away. None of them bowed. Their eyes burned with a single, unshakable fire. Survival. The alien invaders had believed humans would surrender when their colonies fell. Instead, they discovered something terrifying. Even unarmed humans fought. With sticks, with knives, with broken glass and bare hands, they resisted. When food ran out, they scavenged. When water ran dry, they dug into stone until their hands bled. When leaders were killed, others rose in their place. Reports spread across the stars. Human prisoners escaped again. Entire villages vanished into forests. Striking our convoys at night, kill one, and 3 rise in their place. The truth became undeniable. Humanity's will could not be broken. Captain Ward gathered his survivors in the ruins of a shattered temple. His voice, hoarse yet steady, carried into the night. "They think we are weak," he said. "They see our scars, our hunger, our pain. But what they don't understand is this. Every scar is a lesson. Every hunger is a promise. Every pain is a weapon. We will not kneel. Not ever." The crowd erupted in defiance. And in that moment, something greater than fear was born: hope. Alien commanders began to panic. Their war logs filled with confusion. Why do they not surrender? Why do they keep rising? Entire divisions crumbled, not from human weapons, but from the relentless psychological weight of facing enemies who refused to die in hidden bunkers across the galaxy. Humans worked tirelessly. Engineers rebuilt broken ships from scrap. Scientists weaponized desperation into innovation. Children were taught not lullabies, but survival tactics. Humanity itself was transforming every man, woman, and child, becoming a soldier of will. And then came the transmission that shook the stars. A fleet of battered human ships, patched together with scorched metal and stolen parts, appeared at the edge of alien territory. Their message was simple. A single phrase broadcast in every tongue of the galaxy: "We do not break." For the first time in centuries, the great empires felt something they had forgotten: fear of extinction. Cliffhanger end. In the darkness of space, alien spies intercepted a signal from deep within Earth itself. It spoke of a weapon unlike any seen before, forged not from desperation, but from humanity's unyielding will to survive. Asterisk, the galaxy had always been ruled by fragile alliances. Empires older than humanity itself had signed treaties, forged pacts, and balanced power with uneasy trust. But when the Deathworlders began to rise, those alliances cracked like glass beneath a hammer in the Grand Council chamber of Arkan Prime. Voices roared across the marble hall. Dozens of alien representatives shouted over one another, their bodies trembling with fear and pride. Holographic screens displayed the growing list of losses: fleets destroyed, colonies burned, soldiers captured or slaughtered. "They cannot be reasoned with," shouted Chancellor Rin of the Colliery. His silver crest twitched as he slammed a claw against the table. These humans fight like predators, like beasts that will not stop until we are ash beneath their boots. Across the chamber, the massive form of General Torkash bellowed, "Then crush them. Send every fleet, every soldier. Burn their homeworld before they spread any further." But another voice, soft yet sharp, silenced them all. High Scholar Velen of the Orithy leaned forward, his many eyes glinting. "Do you not see? We already tried. Armies greater than theirs fell. Fleets larger than theirs shattered. We fight shadows that refuse to die. If they cannot be broken, perhaps they must be bargained with." The chamber exploded into chaos again. Some demanded peace. Others screamed for extermination. Old enemies rekindled hatred, accusing one another of weakness, betrayal, and cowardice. The fragile unity that had held the galaxy together for centuries was dissolving, poisoned by fear of a species once dismissed as insignificant. And while the council fought with words, humanity struck with fire in the darkness between stars. Human raiding fleets tore through supply lines. Colonies that once waved the banners of great empires now raised smoldering ruins as evidence of human retaliation. Every strike was precise, deliberate, and merciless. But humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships. It was their legend stories spread faster than light. Tales of humans who fought with broken bones, who kept fighting even after being set aflame. Stories of prisoners who gnawed through steel restraints, of soldiers who carried comrades across entire battlefields with wounds that should have killed them. The stories seeped into alien hearts, not as propaganda, but as terror. The first world fell in silence. It was a lush colony of the Zelari, a shining jewel of trade and learning. Cities built from crystal towers lit the skies, rivers shimmered like silver, and songs of prosperity echoed in its grand halls. But when the Deathworlders came, those songs turned to screams. The human fleet did not bombard from orbit. They landed, they marched. Street by street, they dismantled the world. Not out of cruelty, but with terrifying precision. Alien civilians watched in horror as their guards fled. Their generals fell, and their proud defenses shattered. The humans moved like fire through dry grass, stoppable, consuming, leaving nothing untouched. And when the flames of battle faded, the Zelari world was no longer a jewel. It was ash. But this was only the beginning. Word spread like a plague. Entire planets began to burn. The Carey Fortress moon of Draxon, thought impenetrable, was reduced to rubble in a single night. The Orithy archives, libraries filled with centuries of knowledge, were erased in firestorms, even temples once considered. Sacred places no army dared to touch, now echoed with the boots of human soldiers. The galaxy had thought humanity too fragile to wage war, but fragility was their weapon. Every human soldier carried the memory of pain, every scar a reason to keep fighting, every loss a vow of vengeance. Where other armies fought for conquest, humans fought with something deeper: survival, anger, and a hunger no empire had ever faced. The aliens called it madness. The humans called it justice. And yet, amidst the terror, came something worse than destruction. The silence after. Entire species, once arrogant and loud in council chambers, now whispered in shadows. Their worlds. Burned not because humans hated them, but because humans had chosen not to forgive them. On the capital world of the Orithy, survivors huddled beneath shattered monuments. An elder whispered to her child, "This is what the archives foretold, the day kindness died." The child's eyes widened as the skies above filled with falling fire. But humanity did not slaughter indiscriminately. Their wrath was sharp, targeted, deliberate. Commanders chose worlds that symbolized pride, power, and arrogance. Each burning planet was not just a victory, it was a message. Across the stars, fear became universal. Empires turned inward, fortifying their borders, abandoning allies, betraying friends. The galaxy was no longer united. It was fractured, bleeding, helpless against the storm. And yet the storm grew darker. Because for all the worlds already burning, whispers spoke of Earth itself. of a new fleet being built greater than any before, of weapons forged from the very heart of humanity's relentless will. Cliffhanger end, in the smoke of a dying planet. A lone survivor sent a final transmission into the void. They are not just burning our worlds, they are rewriting the galaxy. Asterisk, the galaxy had feared it. The galaxy had denied it. But now, no one could look away. The day of reckoning had arrived. The skies above the alien capital world of Veyros burned red as hundreds of fleets clashed in orbit. It was not just a battle, it was a storm that swallowed suns. Human ships, forged from desperation and vengeance, moved like predators in a feeding frenzy. Alien armadas, vast and proud, unleashed everything they had: plasma storms, gravitational mines, swarms of interceptors. And still, humans advanced. Admiral Elias Ward, now a legend across the stars, stood on the bridge of the Resolute. His scarred face reflected the burning battlefield before him. He gave no long speeches, no words of glory. Forward. The Resolute surged ahead, leading a wedge of human warships straight into the heart of the enemy. Explosions painted the void. Hulls tore apart. Planets trembled under the weight of destruction. Alien generals screamed commands, but their voices shook. They saw something they could not comprehend. Soldiers fighting long after their bodies should have given in. Ships pressing forward even as their hulls burned, humanity refusing to fall. On the surface of Veyros, the chaos was worse. Streets, once lined with monuments to alien dominance, now ran red with fire and ash. Human ground forces poured through shattered defenses, their banners rising over palaces. Every district became a battlefield, every ruin a grave. Yet amidst the carnage, there were moments of haunting silence. A squad of alien children huddled beneath the ruins of a school, watching as human soldiers passed. No shots were fired. The soldiers moved on. Humanity's vengeance was sharp, but not blind. The galaxy watched in terror and awe. Live streams from fleeing diplomats carried one message: the Deathworlders are not here to conquer. They are here to end this. As the tide of war swallowed Veyros, the alien High Council made their last move. In desperation, they activated the planetary core cannon, a forbidden weapon capable of splitting the very crust of their world. If they could not win, they would drag humanity into the abyss with them. But humanity was ready. Admiral Ward's fleet intercepted the weapons charge with a suicide run. Tire wings of human ships threw themselves into the cannon's maw, detonating at point-blank range. The sky itself shattered with light. When the brilliance faded, when the fires dimmed and the echoes of battle faded, silence fell across the galaxy. It was not the silence of peace, nor the calm of safety. It was the silence of a universe holding its breath. Scarred forever by the reckoning it had witnessed, the alien capital of Veyros lay in ruins. Its towers shattered, its skies blackened by ash. Where once proud rulers had dictated the fate of countless species, only rubble remained. But amidst the devastation, the legend of the Deathworlders grew. For every survivor who crawled from the ruins, for every witness who carried the memory, one truth spread: humanity had refused to kneel. They had endured what no empire could have imagined, and in doing so, they had torn down the illusion of galactic supremacy. On a distant frontier, a child of the Zellery sat beside her grandmother, watching the stars. The little one asked, "Why did they do this? Why didn't they stop?" The elder's voice cracked as she answered, "Because no one listened when they were kind. And when their kindness ended, nothing could stand against them. Across worlds, across broken empires, whispers grew into stories, and stories into legends. The Deathworlders were painted in 1,000 colors, heroes to some, demons to others, but unforgettable to all. The very word human became a warning, spoken with reverence and fear. Do not provoke them. Do not forget what they are." And yet, the war had not ended with destruction alone. For as fleets smoldered and empires fell, something more profound began to take root. Survivors realized that humanity had not conquered for territory, nor enslaved for power. They had struck only when mocked, when betrayed, when kindness was spat upon. Their fury was not blind, it was purposeful, directed, unforgettable. But there were darker whispers too. In the void beyond shattered worlds, escape pods drifted, carrying stolen fragments of human technology. The last surviving High Chancellor vanished into the abyss with a stolen artifact, the seed of another reckoning. Yet to come. The galaxy did not sleep easily. Stars seemed dimmer, shadows longer. Every council, every surviving empire, trained its children with one lesson above all others. Do not forget the day humanity rose, on Earth itself. In the rebuilt halls of the United Terran Fleet, Admiral Elias Ward stood before the memorial of the fallen, name stretched higher than the eye could see, etched in steel and light. He bowed his head, whispering to the silence, "We endured. We survived. But the story is not over." Generations later, when children asked about the day, the galaxy remembers the day kindness died. But the story isn't over yet. The Deathworlders have only just begun. Subscribe now and be here when the next chapter arrives, before the stars burn again.